Level 1. The scam. You're typing "I miss you too" to a man in Ohio, and there's a guy standing behind you, arms crossed, watching your screen to make sure you hit your quota tonight. The man you're chatting is Daniel. The woman he thinks he's chatting is Lily. She's 29. She's got a little apartment in Vancouver. She trades a bit of crypto on the side, and she misses Daniel so much. And none of that is real. Lily is you tonight. She's also the girl 2 seats down and the guy by the window, and whoever's awake on this floor whenever Daniel can't sleep. But you didn't sign up for this. 4 months ago, you're on a bus, scrolling, and you saw this job that pays 4 times what anybody back home pulls in. And the only catch is you got to move abroad. The recruiter said it's customer support for a crypto company. He reached out to you after finding your profile on a job board. He even addressed you by your name, which you appreciated. It's funny now because nobody in this building has called you by your real name since. And the company looked legit. They had a website, photos of an office in those blue glass towers. And you pulled up the address on a map and saw a real building. The salary and signing bonus were in writing, and you read it twice because you felt like you won the lottery. And yet somewhere in your gut, you knew it was too good to be true. You know when you flip a coin and it keeps landing heads, so you think there's something wrong with the coin? But you've been working 2 minimum wage jobs for 2 years since you got laid off from your tech job, and rent was late, and your mom's hospital bills couldn't wait another month, so you told them yes. And the plane ticket hit your inbox the next day. If you'd been paying attention, that alone would have told you everything. So you fly in. There's a driver holding a sign with your name, and he doesn't say much. He just drives 2 hours out until the streetlights stop and the road turns to dirt. When the car stopped, you come out, and you're in some border town you'd never heard of and still can't pronounce. He says this is the company housing. You look around, and it's this concrete compound behind a wall. The woman at the front desk asks for your phone and your passport. She said it's for registration, so you hand them over. That was the last time you saw either one. And the door behind you shut with this heavy magnetic clunk. And somewhere underneath everything, you felt it. And honestly, that's the part that still eats at you. Not that they took your passport, that you handed it over yourself, smiling, saying thanks. Level 2, hell, it's your first day on the job. You're following the team lead as he walks in a room full of desks. You pass by the first few desks, and none of the workers lift their head to look at you. The team lead sits you down on desk number 29 with the laptop already on. It has a bunch of folders and documents open and tells you to read all of it by end of day. He didn't even say hello, but you're guessing he looks around your age. You look at the docs and most of them are scripts, and you're barely reading them because the questions are already stacking up. When do you get your phone and passport back? What is this actually? Because customer support doesn't look like pretending to be a woman named Lily. So you ask. You ask the team lead politely when you're getting your passport and phone back, and he just looks at you like you asked something stupid. He says you'll get them when you've paid back what you owe the company, and he says a number. You tell him there must have been a mistake because you don't owe anything to the company, at least not that you can think of. Now that you mention it, this isn't even the job you were hired to do, so you tell all these to the team lead. He just said it again. Make the amount you owe and you're free to go. This can't be. There really must have been a mistake, so you talk to him again. He ignores you this time, and before you know it, something hit you in the back of the head that almost made you pass out. It made you slightly dizzy, and for a few seconds you fought the dizzy feeling to try to stay awake. After finding back your footing, you turn around and a way bigger guy looks down at you. And before you can speak, he tells you to sit down, so you do. Now you have your hand pressing over the back of your head on the part where it got hit. While sitting back down, you feel nothing but horror. You realize what's happening. The worst part is the number you're supposed to make is more than the job was ever going to pay you. You do the math in your head and you understand you can't earn your way out, that you're never going to get your documents back and you're never going to get back home. You look around and you notice everyone else in the room are working like nothing happened. You just got assaulted and everyone's acting like the most normal thing happened. You look back at the laptop screen, but you don't do the list of tasks the onboarding document tells you to do. You just sit there and you don't send a single message. You're thinking when the workday ends, then you can leave with the rest. And you can talk to someone else, somewhere else, where the big guy who hit you is not present. But what happens instead almost makes you cry. After shift, people start getting up and leaving, so you go with them through the door. and you see the next shift outside already walking in. You didn't notice him. The big guy grabs you and starts dragging you somewhere else. Your fight or flight response kicks in. You panic and struggle and fight back. It's useless. There's more of them now restraining you. They bring you to a small room with no windows, drop you on the floor, and close the door behind you. You don't eat that night. Then a voice talks at the other side of the door, saying the canteen is for people who hit their quota. You try sleeping on the floor, hungry and scared. The fear and adrenaline keeps you awake. You couldn't sleep. Hours later, and what you figured is already the next morning, the same big guy opens the door. He grabs your arm, and you get up. Still holding your arm, he brings you back to the room full of desks, full of people who mind their own business, typing and clicking away. He stops at desk number 29, and you understand. You sit down. This time, the big guy pulls a chair and sits down beside you and watches you move. You're so hungry your hands shake, and you look at the laptop again. The messaging app is already open, so you read the message and understand. You have to reply. You read the docs from yesterday and you type the first message. Hey, how was your day? And they let you eat that night. The food tastes like nothing. You hate yourself through every bite and you eat all of it. You started sending the messages to eat. That's all it was at first. And then slowly, you got good at it. Level 3, the routine. By month 6, you don't feel much of anything anymore, and that turns out to be the only way to survive in here. It starts as depression. You wake up on your bunk with 12 other people, and there's nothing to do about it but go to desk 29. So you go. You work 16 hours. You sleep. You do it again. Somewhere in there, you stopped counting the days because counting made it worse. And the work just absorbs you because they built it to. Every morning there's a text on the work laptop, some motivational line about hustle and discipline and winning, the kind of thing a real company sends its sales team. The leaderboards at the front of the room with everyone's number. There are targets daily and weekly. There are bonuses for top performers and punishments for the bottom. It runs like any office anywhere, except the product is a man in Ohio thinking he's in love. And everyone in the room is in on it and nobody questions it. And that's when it starts feeling less like a job and more like a nightmare you can't wake up from. You hear things at dinner. Somebody 2 floors up tried to run and you hear what they did to him. They gossiped about it the way people talk about weather. You listen and you keep eating because the food's still the only good part of the day and you learned that lesson already. Did you hear about so-and-so and you realize you say it that way too now? Then they celebrate. That's the part that eats you the most. When a big deposit lands, when somebody's victim sends in 40 grand, the whole floor knows. And there's clapping and the team lead bangs on something and people are genuinely happy, smiling. Like a sales team that closed a quarter. A man somewhere just lost his retirement and the room is cheering. And for a second you cheer too because everyone is. And then you go quiet because you caught yourself doing it. It makes you sick, it does. But sick is a feeling and feelings have a price here, so you push it down with everything else. Pushing down is a skill you get better at, the same way you got better at the scripts. Because you did get good. You don't read the docs anymore, you don't need them. You know when to go quiet so he comes back nervous. You know to ask about his granddaughter by name. You run 4 men at once and keep them all straight. Your number climbs the board. One morning the team lead stops at your desk and says good. And something lights up in you that you hate because you wanted it. You wanted the good. In this place, you took the one scrap it can offer. None of it feels real. You're scamming men out of their houses 16 hours a day in a room that celebrates it like a startup. And your brain just won't accept that this is your actual life. So it keeps the wall up, keeps you numb. And you let it because the day the wall comes down is the day you have to feel all of it at once. So you keep your head down, you hit your number, you eat your dinner, you don't think about the man. You think about getting through today, and then you do it again tomorrow. Until Daniel sends a photo you didn't ask for. Level 4, the wake-up call. It's another day and Daniel sends a photo. It's his kitchen. He wanted you to see where you'll sit when you finally come visit. He says when Lily finally comes, and there's a chair pulled out from the table. He's 61. He drove a city bus for 30 years and he's retiring soon. And he's up every morning at 5 to catch you before your day ends because of a time difference that doesn't exist. You know his numbers better than he does. $11,000 over 4 months. And last week he took a loan against the house in that photo. Because the dashboard says he's almost there, almost at the number where he can stop. And the two of you can finally be together. And he can take care of you the way he always wanted to. And while you're looking at the photo, he types, "I've never told anyone the things I tell you." You've read that line 100 times. There's a doc for that line. And the wall you've held up for 6 months comes down all at once. You see a man who's in love with 5 strangers who use stolen photos and a machine that writes warm things in a dead woman's voice. He took a loan against his house for her. He's setting a table for her. You suddenly realize you are also like Daniel, who read something too good, knowing in your gut and saying yes anyway, because you needed it to be true. That's Daniel at his kitchen table, needing it to be true. There's no line between you and Daniel. You're just further down the same road. Daniel's message sits there unanswered. No dots, no Lily typing, because Lily isn't typing, you're just staring. And the team lead notices a stalled chat. He always does. He's already looking over. Level 5, the way out. You don't plan it that night. You're not brave like that. And for the first time in 6 months, you let yourself think of the way out. And once you've thought it, you can't stop. The chance comes 4 months later. There's a raid, or at least they call it a raid, but nobody looks scared. The supervisors are calm, the guards know exactly where to stand. Laptops get shut and everybody lines up. You realize this has happened before, they have a procedure for it. You get told to wipe the laptop. You still have the browser open, not the messaging app, but the company email. Because everyone's in a hurry, nobody is looking at your screen. You have maybe 10 seconds. That's when the thing you've gotten good at finally matters. You don't panic, you don't waste time. You type the nearest town and describe the way to the compound as you remember on your first day. You describe your surroundings, at least the only things you can see. You type, "I'm being held here against my will. Hundreds of foreign workers are trapped. Please help." Don't reply. You send it to the first address you can think of, then you delete the sent message, then you wipe the laptop like you were told. The next day you're back at desk 29. So is the day after that. A week passes, then a month, then 2, then 4. Nothing. And eventually you accept the truth. Nobody read your email, or they just didn't believe it, or they did and decided you weren't worth the trouble. So you stop thinking about it. You go back to work. Because hope is dangerous here. You already learned that lesson. Then one morning you hear shouting outside. Not the usual shouting. It's different, louder, more panicked. The team lead stands up so quickly his chair falls over. Someone runs into the room and says something in a language you don't understand. For the first time in 18 months, everyone in charge looks afraid. This isn't a drill. This isn't the kind of raid they get warned about. Nobody tells you to line up. Nobody tells you to wipe laptops. Nobody knows what to do. The machine finally has no script. The doors burst open and men in uniforms come in. Guns pointed. You're told to get on the ground, so you do. All of you do. Next thing you know, you're being interrogated. He asks your name. You almost say Lily. Almost. Instead, you tell him your real name.